First wanted to thank Joe and Mitch for inviting me, especially for putting me on just before lunch. In fact, I'm eating into your lunchtime right now, so I'll just reassure you I'm hungry too, so this will be pretty quick. Also, someone pointed out to me that my title's illegal. You know, you don't market to patients, you actually communicate to patients. But really what this is about is the marketing that goes behind the communication to patients. So that's my skating, and I'll stick with that. So two key categories we'll look at here is regulatory and legal, and I'll just touch upon that from a marketing standpoint, and then also messaging and credibility, the two key areas. If I could have the first question up then. Oh, it's already there. At what stage do you begin developing DTP programs? So those of you who have done them or those who want to comment, at what stage do you think you should do direct-to-patient programs? Phase 3, pre-NOC, after phase 3 studies, at launch, or greater than a year post-launch? Wow, quite a split. It's interesting because sometimes it's not feasible to do it as early as you'd like to, but if we go on to the next slide, I'll try and address that. The ideal is to start as early as you can, for sure. Even pre-NDA, it depends on your product, the indication you're working on, but keep in mind that what goes into your product monograph in the patient section is what you're going to live and breathe for the rest of your life from a PAB standpoint and regulatory standpoint. So even when the studies are being conducted, you want to make sure that you've put in the language and the patient information that you're going to need for that product. So the earlier the better. In fact, you know, there's never a better time than to even determine what your marketing mix is going to look like. So the sooner you do it and determine whether you've got feasible patient information or not will also help you there. So from a standpoint, first conduct the research. You know, as early as you can, do some research. You can look at what competitors are saying, information's out there, and what patients are saying. You know, the blogs, the internet, you can, amazing, you go into Facebook and type it in and the indication, you see what they're saying about all the products, about their disease. Everything's so public that not to do that research would be a real shame. But even more important, what terminology are they using? Is it different from what you're using? Interestingly, you know, psoriasis is a good example. Psoriasis, actually the studies with the actual efficacy endpoints they put into the studies, they're linked with quality of life. So you already have that there, but how do you want to word it for the patients? What would resonate with them? Determine what you want to say before. So the key is that product monograph, that section is absolutely critical with you. Also involve corporate legal and regulatory early. Get your people in your company involved very early. That goes without saying. The last thing you want to do is get this whole thing ready, get the patient section done, and then it gets rejected internally. And then know the regulations. PAB is absolutely critical. Health Canada even, and then also legal. From a legal standpoint, if you're doing a website and you're you want to be able to send something out to a patient, opt in. They got to be able to opt in. There's a bunch of PIPEDA regulations that are absolutely critical. So know all the regulations and know them early. Potential barriers you run into from a legal and regulatory standpoint. Well, the first one, of course, is that patient section of the PM. It has to have the right wording that you want to use. This one is a big one, two-way communication with patients. You know, if you're going to have patients coming into your website and talking to you, talking to anybody, you got to realize that if they report any adverse event at all or adverse reaction, you've got 24 hours to report that to Health Canada. So it can be a two-way sword. You know, you've got to be monitoring it, and you've got to be reporting it if you get that. So you got to watch what you do. Next was reporting and addressing off-label reporting. If they start talking about off-label and it's on your site, what are you going to do about it? You better be aligned with your legal and regulatory people internally. Communication to patients has to be gated. Talked about that earlier. So DIN number or whatever. And then the other thing a lot of people don't think about is US DTC. We're all exposed to it. And you know, nothing worse than launching a product in Canada. The doctor writes it, patients all happy, they go out there, and then they see this DTC ad that says it may cause death or worse. You know, these things are absolutely, they're damaging. So knowing what those are going to be, at least know what you're going to be up against. You know, talk to your U.S. counterparts and find out what they're going to be talking about so you can at least be aware of it and maybe do something about it. Because they have shown that DTC, our DTC in Canada actually can help with patients who are on a product and they see their product talked about all the time. they look at it as being important. Wow, it must be a big product. A lot of people are using it. It's being, it's in the news. This is hopefully in the right news, but it can be a real good one for compliance. Question: what is the most common objective of your DTP program? Would it be endorsement, compliance, market expansion, or other? Compliance comes up high, no surprise. Market expansion is another one. Endorsement's a tricky one, but there are ways to have endorsement, and we'll touch upon that in a minute as well. But what's key, I think, is most important, is defining your objectives. When you get into a DTP program, what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to do a compliance program, or are you trying to get endorsement, or are you trying to broaden your market? It really needs sitting down to determine right up front, what are your objectives of this program? That'll determine how you design it. And who do your patients respect and listen to the most? That's absolutely key. Let me ask this question then. Who do you involve in your DTP programs? So when you look at it and determine who you're going to involve, is it only the patient, straight to the patient, MDs, pharmacists, or all of the above? So 80% said all of the above, which again is no surprise. It's interesting, there are other people you could involve, and there's a concept, this will work here. Shoot, it's not there, sorry. There, called the Circle of Eight. And the concept here goes that with everybody, you have a circle of 8 people or 6 people, it might be 6 or 8, whatever it is, but there's a circle of a number of people, a defined number of people who influence you, who you trust, who you talk to,